Guys, we are delighted to announce that we are working with the one and only One Football app where you can follow your favourite team, your favourite leagues, and of course, get in game notifications straight to your device.
And guys, that is not all. One Football are now offering people in the UK and Ireland a chance to watch selected match highlights and live games from some of the best leagues in the world. I'm talking Serie A, La Liga, Liga Portugal, and the DFB Pokal, including a Saturday night live Serie A game. So what more could you want? What are you waiting for? Head down to the link in the description below and download the One Football app.
Guys, welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. This is our Premier League predictions for this week after an amazing weekend of football. Guys, do us a favour, like, subscribe, and if you haven't already, hit that link below. Scott, I'm going to throw it straight over to you because the weekend was amazing. You're kicking us off.
I am, and we're kicking off with Bournemouth taking on Leicester. And of course, I want to speak about Leicester because Brendan Rodgers, you thought if he lost this game against Nottingham Forest, it would have been his last. Maybe brought himself a bit of time, a massive win there to maybe save his job.
Yes.
And what a good opportunity to go up against Bournemouth. It is away from home, though, and let's bear in mind Bournemouth have only lost one of the last 5, but it was a pretty unimpressive game against Brentford last weekend. I think this is a really good opportunity for Brendan Rodgers to just give himself a bit more time, see if he can win back the Leicester faithful, a couple of wins and you never know. So I am going to go for a Leicester win, and I am going to say a 2-0 win to Leicester.
Oh, but yeah, they got the clean sheet. I'm going to say 2-1. I think they may concede a goal. I'm going to say 2-1 to Leicester. Speaking of goals, we come on to Chelsea versus Wolves, our club Wolves, who do not score goals. We've scored 3 Premier League goals in 8 games. It's scary. We are away at Chelsea, and Chelsea is a little bit indifferent. They're somehow still 5th. They've now got Graham Potter. They're still sitting on neutral goal difference. They scored 10, they've conceded 10. You could say they were lucky against Palace as well, should Silva have been sent off that last man challenge. Scott, we may not score again for 2 months until the World Cup is finished. I think I'm gonna go 2-0 Chelsea.
It's interesting. I said 2-0 on my first prediction. I'm actually going to side with you completely. I do think Chelsea will win 2-0. We might have a new manager, but he's not going to have spent much time with the players. There'll be a lot of, obviously, views on Costa returning back to Chelsea as well. Did look impressive. Let's take one positive for Wolves, but yeah, 2-0 to Chelsea. Yeah. We move on to another game, which I think is really not hard to predict. City taking on Southampton. And Southampton, let's talk about them first. Let's be kind to them. Well, let's not be kind because they've really not looked impressive this Premier League season so far. A lot of youngsters in that squad, and you just worry, have they prioritised the ones for the future over proven Premier League players? Have they not got enough of them in the squad? I think there's players which will come good in a few years, but you've got to think of the now and then, and they come up against a City team who would just look absolutely unstoppable. They absolutely destroyed Manchester United, and I think it says it all about the mentality of the team and Pep, where he actually said he wasn't too happy with the defending after they've just scored 6 goals.
Yeah,
they scored 6 against United, so how many are they going to score against Saints? I'm going to go 5, but I think it'll be 5-0.
5-0. I mean, I did the watch along, didn't I? Southampton versus Everton at the weekend, and they go 1-0 up. They should have been 2-0 down at half time, 1-0 up. 3 minutes later, they're 2-1 down, and this is just take your pick, isn't it? Do you know what, Scott? What happens to Southampton every year? They concede 9, and this is my game. So I'm going Man City 9-0 against Southampton. Next up is Newcastle versus Brentford. And you mentioned earlier about Bournemouth only lost 1 in 5. So Brentford, I mean, they're just plodding along. They're sitting in 10th. Thomas Frank is really doing the business for them, isn't he, since coming up. For Newcastle, they're 7th. But it's a bit of a weird one for Newcastle. They've only lost 1 game. It's those 5 draws, 2 wins. I think they'd have taken that, Scott. If you said to Newcastle fans, listen, you'll be unbeaten for 7. You'll only lose 1, but there'll be a lot of draws. But you'll be 7th. I think they'd say, yeah, it will build into the season.
Definitely.
I think this will be a high-scoring game. I don't know why. I can just tell. I can just feel it in my bones. And I'm going to say 3-2 to Newcastle at home.
Ooh, that's a high scoring prediction. I don't think many will be
Yeah.
backing that scoreline. I am going to back you though
Oh,
on the 3 scored for Newcastle. So I do think Newcastle will win. I just think
okay.
it's got to be 3-1. I am going to go for a 3-1 prediction. I think, as you say, the important thing for Newcastle is they haven't been losing, so they've got a good foundation now to move on and start
Yeah.
getting some wins, which they have been
Yeah.
doing. We now move on to Brighton taking on Spurs. Now, this is, Spurs.
It's a hard one.
It's
Yeah.
a hard one, isn't it? Because a lot of people felt with Brighton that they were just going to fall because of the Graham Potter thing. If you're being really harsh, maybe they should have got the win against Liverpool. Obviously being 3-1 up.
2-0 up.
Yeah,
2-0 up, and then
2-0 up,
Liverpool
sorry.
go, yeah.
2-0 up. Being 2-0 up, you do think maybe they could have held on to that. But the one thing that's really positive if you're a Brighton fan is it's clear that the fight has not gone out of that team. And they'll come up
No.
against the Spurs team, which really probably need a result here, but it's not going to be easy at all. And I'm going to go for I think Brighton get a result. I don't think they get the win, but I am going to go for a 1-1 prediction in this one.
It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is it?
It's at Brighton.
It's at the Amex. Ooh. Yeah, do you know what? I think I might have given it Tottenham like a 2-1 at home. Oh, I thought Brighton were away. Did you say 1-1?
Yeah. You don't want to agree with me. You never do.
I don't, but I think I might. I think I'm gonna because I fancy Brighton. I'm gonna say 1-1 as well. Yeah, I'm gonna say 1-1 between Brighton and Spurs. Next up is Palace versus Leeds. Two teams that probably started so well for the season, Scott. Palace, that famous win against Liverpool. Leeds, they beat Wolves on the opening day. Rodrigo had like 4
Yeah.
goals in 3 games. You throw an assist in there. The new players were kicking into gear. Slightly fell away, Leeds. I think they were 5th after 4 games. They're now sitting 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is going to be a bit of an open game as well. I think both teams are going to look at each other and say, we get 3 points today, kind of thing. I think Jesse Marcy is going to say, we win this game. And I also think Vieira is going to be telling his troops, I think we win this game. So I think they're going to go for it. But I think they'll share the spoils. And I think there'll be goals as well, because Palace and Leeds do tend to have a lot of goals involved. 2 apiece, I'm going to go for.
Interesting. That could be a good score prediction, that, to be fair. As you said, both teams do have a goal in them. I am going to pick a winner, though. I am going to go 2-1, and I am going to give it to Leeds. I'm going to go Leeds on this one.
Oh, he's gone for it.
I'm starting to worry a little bit for Palace. Such a good season last season. We don't, if you're a Palace fan, you don't want to see that same old return of potentially just being just above relegation and having to fight that potential relegation off. But yeah, I do think for Palace, they could improve. And I think Leeds will get the win. We now move on to West Ham taking on Fulham. Now, for Fulham, it was a bit of an expected, not expected, but it wasn't the kind of performance we've been used to seeing with Fulham.
Uncharacteristic. That's what you
could tell. I couldn't get the word. That's the one I was looking for. It was a game that we think with Fulham since coming up. They've actually been really impressive. There's a lot that worries me for Fulham. Obviously, with Mitrovic being injured, we know how much he has been on goal-scoring form. He looks to be out for around 3 weeks, and you do wonder how is that Fulham team going to adjust without him, of course, because he is a very important focal point of that team. They're coming up against the West Ham team, which has now moved out of the relegation, the 2-0 win over our club Wolves. And I do think Jared Bowen in particular looked very good in that game. Skamaka also getting on the score sheet, the big new signing for West Ham. So I feel like the feeling around Moyes' team and also obviously West Ham in general now, probably a bit more excitement there. And I think for that reason, especially with the Hammers at home, I am going to back the home team. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I am going to go 1-0 to West Ham.
I think they're going to replicate the exact same score against Wolves, 2 home games in a row. I think they get 2 clean sheets in a row. I think they get 2 2-0s in a row. But for Fulham, I love giving Fulham stick. Tim Pot, rubbish fans, all the usual. A lot of it's in banter and jest. But you've got to say they're eighth in the league and they've got 11 points. We're in the relegation zone, so fair play, Fulham. I think you might be okay this season. Still
Yeah,
early, but I
yeah.
don't think you get the points this weekend. 2-0 to West Ham. Scott, next up, I think this is the first time, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this. This could be the first time in 7 or 8 years that Arsenal go into a game against Liverpool favourites. I think officially with the buckets, I think they're favourites to win this game. Arsenal at the Emirates. I said it on my first week's predictions. I said the Emirates this season is going to be a fortress. I think those
Yeah.
fans are going to get behind them. And God, even they've exceeded my expectations. I just don't see a way that Liverpool beat this Arsenal team. And if you'd have said that to me in the summer,
Everyone would
you'd
have
have
laughed.
never. Oh, you'd have thought you'd have having me drug tested. I'd have been off YouTube. Do you know what I mean? You'd have said, "What is this? This guy's on crack." I've got to go Arsenal. I really like them. I really, really do. And I think there's going to be goal. I think they might pump like 3-1. I think they might do Liverpool, you know. I'm going 3-1 Arsenal. I could look silly because Liverpool still have world-class players, obviously. I'm going 3-1 Arsenal.
I mean, a lot has been spoken about this Arsenal team, and I think this is, we saw them be the better team against United, in fact, but lost that game. This is a chance for them to really show that they are in the talks for being one of the teams to challenge for the title this season. I think this is a good chance for them to make that mark at the Emirates. And do you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I think they do. I don't think it's going to be quite 3-1, but I am going to say both teams score 2-1 to Arsenal, which moves me on to our penultimate game, and I am talking about Everton taking on United. Now, a lot was said about United, wasn't it, coming up into the international break? It really looked like they'd turn a corner. Ten Hag had got them playing a really exciting way. And a lot of the hype that maybe some of the United fans felt coming into the season and Ten Hag was starting to be realised. Then you get the derby. That gets absolutely shattered. One thing you could say, though, is they did score 3 goals. Martial on the score sheet twice. And it was it weren't pretty decent. It was an absolutely amazing goal from their new signing, Anthony, as well. So there was some positives to take. But they come up against Everton at Goodison Park as well. And this is an Everton team that haven't been beaten in a long time and are now following it up with results as well by getting the wins. Of course, you did the watch along last weekend, 2-1 win there against the Saints. Yeah. I think this could be a high scoring game, and I think the points will be shared. I'm going to go 2-2 with this prediction.
I think Everton get the job done. They've got Mr. Cody. He's a scouser. He's gonna want to put on a show. They've won their last 2, Everton. They were unbeaten in their last 5. You take that. I fancy Everton, and I'm gonna say 2-1 to the Toffees. I think they do it. Last but not least, we come on to Forest, who are at home. 2 teams not in great form. They are hosting Aston Villa. Scott, I stayed up late to watch that game the other night. Forest versus Villa versus Leeds, and it was a 0-0 after the amazing weekend of football. I had to watch that. I think Gerrard's on thin ice, and so is Cooper. There's talks of Cooper. Could he be on the Wolves shortlist?
I really hope even be not. Gone by the time of the weekend.
He could be, and I like Cooper, I really do, but I think Wolves have got a lot of experienced players that probably wouldn't take to Cooper. But speaking about this game specifically, Forest have got to bounce back, they really do. And I feel like if Villa draw this game again, Gerrard's head could be on the chopping block. I think he needs a win, but those fans are going to be really up for it at the City Ground. They are not going to want to roll over after what happened against Leicester. Oh, it's almost like which team is worse. Which team do you have less faith in is basically what this game is. And because of Villa's defence, their defence has been okay this season. They've only scored 6, but they've only conceded 10 in 8 games. Not bad.
Yeah.
But Forest have conceded 21 goals. I'm going to go Villa, and I think it's a dirty 1-0 Villa. bobble over the line.
We've been seeing Villa do these kind of performances, haven't we? Just getting the 1-0 wins, and then the draw wasn't a spectacular draw against Leeds. A lot of claims of time wasting. I'm going to go for another draw. I think Villa might they've looked like they've got problems scoring at the moment. So I'm going to go 1-1 on my prediction. But guys, let us know your predictions in the comments. Please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe to the channel. And of course, as we said at the start of the video as well, head down to the link below, download the OneFootball app, and we shall catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.